Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess and I'm excited to do a reading vlog with you guys today. I feel like I haven't done a true sit down reading vlog in a little bit, so today that is exactly what we're gonna get up to. I have a couple of books in mind. I just finished The Ministry of Time and that one left me with something that I just don't know how I'm feeling anymore. I really loved that book. So looking for my next 5-star, and I figured we would pick up my book club book for April, or actually March. For March, we're just meeting at the very beginning of April. But this is This Family Lies by J.M. Cannon. I haven't been able to find this on any libraries or anything like that. It's only on Kindle Unlimited, weirdly, but you can buy the physical copy on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, whatever. From what I understand, I'm only 3 chapters into this book and the chapters are kind of short, but so far what I'm understanding is that this book is basically this woman who, they live in the South. I think it's in Louisiana. They live on this former plantation, from what I understand, and they live in this big, beautiful house, but some of this stuff is a little odd. For example, there's carvings in some of the furniture of former slaves, and this just kind of makes our main character Iris feel a little awkward. And on top of it, she has completely lost her memory. She went through something very traumatic where someone came into their house with her and her husband of 6 months and shot them. She ended up with a head wound but survived, although she has no memory, and her husband ended up dead. That is the very beginning of the book. That's everything that we know, and that's all within the first snippet and also all from the blurb, so no spoilers yet, but I'm super excited to read this book. It's pretty highly rated on Goodreads, and I think it's a newer novel, so it seems interesting. So let's start with this one. I don't know what other books we'll get into yet. We have a couple more on the TBR, but I wanted to make sure that I read this before we meet for book club. So this will be the book that we read first, and let's just get into it. Hello you guys. I'm currently reading This Family Lies, and I think I'm only 5% of the way through. 7% of the way through. I'm really liking that these chapters are a little shorter, but also I just read The Ministry of Time, and each of those chapters was maybe an hour and 15 minutes for me to read. So a 15-minute chapter feels like it's flying by in comparison. But something I wanted to say, I don't have too many thoughts initially just because I'm still getting a lot of setup, but I do feel like this book reminds me of the movie Get Out, and I that's sort of the vibes it's giving me so far. Basically, it's just white, affluent, rich family lives on a former plantation where former slaves were in the South. There's still a lot of slave paraphernalia around the house. The plantation, or ex-plantation, I don't know if it would still be considered a plantation, but anyway, it's still a working farm, so there's still something that they produce. I don't know what that something is yet. Dead husband, someone tried to shoot the husband and wife survived, and there's a lot of secrets and a lot of weirdness, and I just feel the eeriness that I'm already feeling in this book is so impressive so early on in a book. I feel from chapter 1 this author makes you feel uncomfortable, which is exactly what you want in a mystery thriller type novel. But yeah, really feeling the movie Get Out, which is very interesting. So I'm enjoying it so far. I have a feeling I'm gonna read this one pretty quickly, so I'm gonna try to give it some love today, read a little bit over the course of the next couple days, especially because it's my weekend and that's usually when I get most of my reading done. Let's learn some more about what happened to these characters. Okay, I switched books for a hot second. So I was reading This Family Lies, but I have been doing this, reading a couple of pages every day of Dune. I've kind of failed, so I have a bookmark here of how far I want to get by the end of the weekend. But I am on page 180, no clue what chapter that is, only because there are no chapter numbers in this book, but it's very interesting because I've not seen the movie yet. This is my first exposure to the story of Dune, and I know that Paul is played by, is it Timothy Chalamet? Oh my god, if I get that name wrong, I always get him and Tom Holland mixed up for some reason, but I'm 90% sure it's Timothy Chalamet. Anyway, I know that it's played by him and I can't imagine him, only because Paul seems very intelligent, but kind of a kid. I don't know how else to describe it. Timothy Chalamet is just not a kid. I don't know how else to put it. So interesting choice, but I guess all over time, I'm sure we'll get more of that. And obviously I don't know how he acts in it. So I'm just that's not what I'm picturing, I guess. But it's very interesting because there's this this scene where they're at basically this dinner and the family kind of doesn't know who to trust, and Paul just straight up calls them out at the dinner, which is just like, whoa, very bold decision to make. So very, very interesting. I'm really enjoying this book a lot. It's definitely a lot slower for me. Just the story in itself is slow, but I like it. Sorry, I shouldn't say that the story is slow. The story is not necessarily slow, but it's just the pacing for me. Like I just don't read this one fast. I don't know how else to put it. I do enjoy though that like when we were shifting from one planet to another, clearly we have so much to get through. This is a pretty long book. I think it's like 600 pages. They just jump right into like, I think chapter 2 or 3, they're already on the new planet, which is in my opinion good, because while I am still getting information about what their old planet was like just from them recounting memories, I also am not spending too much time at the beginning of the book on that old planet when it effectively isn't going to matter, because the whole story is about them going to this new planet. The deception is very interesting, and overall I'm just enjoying it. I do like it. I don't think that this could be like a main book for me just because it's a little harder to understand. So I like having a book like this or a classic and then going to a story that's like a little bit easier for me to read. But I'm glad that I'm finally doing it. Those are my thoughts so far. Been really liking it, and I just wanted to update you guys on this one as well. So kind of reading 2 books at once. This is my favorite type of way to read. I just feel like I get more in because I can keep myself entertained. Like depending on what I'm feeling like I want to read, I can kind of switch it up. So for example, I'll also sometimes have an audiobook. Like right now, I kind of want to reread Book Lovers, which is the book by Emily Henry. I've already read it. I actually have it as a physical copy, and I've been thinking about rereading it, but I'm realizing now, since I already know the story, I don't have to pay as close attention. I could just reread it as an audiobook. I bet you it's on Spotify, so that might be something that we do as well. Anyway, those are the thoughts. I'm gonna finish this chapter and then I'll switch over to my other book. I am now on page 206, so I'm almost, I think at page like 250-ish is when I'm on book 2, which I in theory should have been at last weekend, but like I said, I just haven't been reading as much as I should be, but I am catching up this weekend, so I only have this much more to read this weekend. The last couple of chapters that I read were pretty interesting. Basically, there's this dynamic where this new family is taking over this planet. They're kind of trying to figure out who's on their side. With trying to figure out who's on their side, I feel like they have people who they suspect, but they don't really like take any action about it. So it's kind of interesting because they'll just literally be like, I kind of feel like this person's maybe the traitor, but I don't want to do anything about it yet. Which like, I don't know why you wouldn't do something about it, but also like, I get that you can't just like in a political situation, you can't just like be blaming everybody outright. So it's definitely interesting, very interesting dynamic. But with that, something crazy just happened. I already knew that something was going to happen to the Duke by nature of what this book is about. Like with Paul being the son of the Duke, you know that like he's gonna at some point take over. You know what I'm saying? Like he's now ruling this new planet, and I just feel like it's kind of obvious. I don't know, like maybe that's just me and like I've read enough fantasy novels, but I feel like that always happens where like this shift in power dynamic happens and the son who's maybe not ready has to take over. So we're right at that spot basically. I'm really enjoying it. I do feel like I just wish it would go a little faster, but I do like the scenes where something crazy is happening. Like those are really fun. I am gonna take a break from this though. I'm gonna pick up This Family Lies. We have about an hour until I have to head off to a friend's house. So I think I'm gonna read for about an hour on this other book, and then, oh actually we're gonna be leaving in 30 minutes. I thought it was noon, but it's 12:30. So I'll read for 30 minutes and then I will head over to my friend's house, and then we'll finish reading more of this, and like we'll kind of like switch between these 2 books for the rest of the day. Anyway, those are the updates, and I will continue to tell you guys how I'm liking both of these books as I continue reading. I just got back home, but I was reading This Family Lies at the coffee shop that I went to this morning, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm only 15% of the way through. I don't know what chapter I'm on because there's not like numbers on the chapters, but it's so good. Learned a little bit more. The plantation that these characters live on is actually like an active plantation. Even like it was always a plantation, but there's only like a few in the area that are still active. So this one's an active one, and something feels very sus. Like someone is lying about something and we don't really know what what yet. So it's getting very exciting and I'm really, really liking it a lot. And then switching back over to Dune, I kind of like reassessed how many pages I need to read per day. So did a little bit of shuffling on the pages so that I can not feel overwhelmed. But I have about 50 pages that I want to read today, which will take me an hour, hour and a half or so, something along those lines. So we'll get to this in a little bit, but yesterday I feel like I focused a lot on this book and not as much on this one. So I'm gonna change it up a little bit today. Yesterday I also did not read nearly as much as I wanted to because I went over to a friend's house and I intended to spend like an hour or two at her house and I ended up spending a full 8 hours. Don't know how that happened. Like truly the time flew, and then by the time we were kind of feeling tired, we were like, why am I so tired? And then looked at the time and it was 9 p.m. and I was like, oh my god, I need to go home. So yeah, didn't read nearly as much, but we have a lot of reading time that we can do today. So we're just gonna get right into it. Let's read This Family Lies and see how far we get today, and then I will continue to keep you guys updated as exciting, fun things happen in this book. I'm now on part 2 of This Family Lies. I don't know like what chapter I'm on. I'm on chapter Manners. I'm like 30% of the way through the book and it's getting so good. There's a character who I was not expecting to be a bad guy. He's a bad guy. There's just like a lot of eeriness, I think, happening. Like a lot of weirdness, a lot of like, I still like Get Out vibes, like the movie Get Out, where like we just like, just weird things are happening. It's almost like people are trying to keep our main character contained in the house or like on like certain parts of the property. They just don't want her to leave. And I feel like everyone is kind of lying to her. Like you can't really tell what the truth is, especially because she doesn't really have any memories. So she like can't even really trust herself. I love an unreliable narrator, honestly, and like a thriller book because it just like makes it really hard to know who to trust. So I'm gonna keep reading for the next couple of hours or so and let's see what happens next. Good morning, you guys. It is Monday morning. It's like, my watch is, sorry, I got distracted. It is almost 7 a.m. is what I was going to say. And I've been reading This Family Lies. I'm like 40% of the way through now. This is a really fast read. I did not read my Dune chapters yesterday. I'm just realizing though. But anyway, reading This Family Lies, and it's very interesting too because I'm realizing that like, I mean, I knew this the whole time, I guess, but it's just interesting that our main character is also trying to learn so much about herself. Like she's not just trying to learn about where she lives, why, who her husband was, like all of these things, who might have tried to kill them, but she also has no idea who she is or like why she likes to do the things that she does or what type of person she was, which is such a weird, like it has to be such a weird feeling. She basically has memory from like childhood to like adolescence, and then there's like a gap, and then now she's slowly remembering things, short-term memory. For example, like even stuff that happened last week post-injury, she's not remembering, but now she's starting to be able to like hold on to things that are happening. But it feels like people are taking advantage of that too. Like I was saying earlier, like people are lying to her. Very interesting. So anyway, that's where we're at. It's still very eerie. I think that this author is doing a really good job of just like making you feel on edge and making you feel like you don't know who to trust, basically. Like you don't know who might have done something. I think there was an early reveal of somebody being like a bad character basically, but it was so early on that I just can't tell if there's the chance that maybe they are the bad guy, like the person that tried to kill the husband and wife, or like our main character, or if it's just like there's a lot of weirdos in the story. You know what I mean? Like it's too early to know because it was shown to you too early in the story. And there's like a whole nother side plot happening too, which is so cool. Like it's a good side plot of like some other people that live in the same town. It's intense. I'm gonna read a little bit this morning before I have work. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to get as much reading done as I possibly can, like during lunch breaks and after work. I have 6 hours left of this book. I really thought I was gonna get more reading done on the weekend. Like I truly usually do, but here we are. Anyway, I'm gonna go make my coffee, read my book, and let's see how far we get. Okay, I'm about 45% of the way through this book now, and something that we just found out about our main character is actually very surprising. I think this is one of those instances where, like, as our main character is learning about herself, we're obviously learning about her too, but not in the way that I think I was expecting, or like not in the way that I've seen in other books before. And I'm actually really liking it because it makes our main character, she's just like not a perfect person. I think like that just, I don't know, it's very fascinating, I guess, is all I really have to say so far, because I'm not trying to give you any spoilers, but I just wasn't expecting what I read, and I'm intrigued to learn a little bit more because I feel like our main character, as she's like learning more about herself, a lot will be uncovered to us, obviously, and I want to better understand who she is and like why and what she's doing and why she is where she's at. Does that make sense? Like I want to know all the details already. It is doing a little bit of like the Frida McFadden thing where it's recapping, like, I don't need to worry about that, or I don't know, just kind of like recapping at the end of the chapter, which I don't really feel is necessary, but it's not as bad as some of the Frida books I've read in the past, so it's not actually like bothering me all that much. But it is something that I've noticed a few times, and then there's like a few things that are misspelled or like grammatical errors that are just so nitpicky, I understand, but for whatever reason, like my brain locks in on those things and I tend to like get out of the story when I see that kind of stuff. I think it's because I'm the type of person who reads every single word as if I was reading out loud, and so I tend to read slower and I notice those things a lot faster. So those are the updates. Let's keep reading, and I want to try to see if I can finish this book today. I would have to read 5 hours, so I don't know if that's possible, but I want to see if I can. So let's read and see how far we get today. Hello you guys, I am coming to you much later than, I don't even remember when the last time I checked in with you guys was, but I'm here now and I wanted to tell you guys about the books that I read today so far. So I haven't really read too much of Dune in the last couple of days. I feel like I have to like be in it, and I feel like the last few days like trying to read a few pages here and there has not been working. So I think I'm just gonna finish my other book, This Family Lies, finish this one, and then just try to get through as much of Dune as possible. That's the plan. I actually got to 50% of the way through this one. I don't know how I stopped, because the ending of like where I'm at in the chapter of this book is so intense that like I need to pick it back up, and I'm so intrigued to see how the last 50% of this book goes, because literally like there's an intruder coming through this house and I'm like, what is happening? So craziness is happening in there. But I also did some audiobook listening today, so I actually finished Fanatical Prospecting, which was that sales book that I read for my work. I have like a work book club, if I haven't mentioned this already, and basically like we're supposed to read a couple of chapters every single week and then we discuss it on Wednesdays. But I was kind of tired of having it on like my Goodreads and my Fable, and I just kind of wanted to get it over with and be done with it. So I took some notes in my work notebook. That was very successful. I felt accomplished to not have that on my list anymore, so I can officially tick that off. And then something that I've been wanting to listen to specifically was The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie. You guys are all YouTube watchers, so you probably know about the YouTube channel 8 Passengers with Ruby Frankie, the mom, who was recently, I don't know what her exact sentencing was, but basically she was found to have been abusive toward her children. And her oldest daughter, Sherry, wrote a book about her experience growing up in her mom's house, and it was fascinating. I actually just binged the whole thing in one go, which is insane because I think there was like 8 hours of content, but I listened to it on 2 times speed, and I just listened to it while I worked. I didn't even like have a chance to show you guys any of me listening to it because I was not even expecting to listen to it. I just had read Fanatical Prospecting while working, and I was like, I kind of like the idea of an audiobook, and just jumped into it, not thinking that I would just listen to the whole thing straight. So I did that. I am giving it 5 stars. I always like debate whether I should give these types of books 5 stars or just no rating, because it's really hard to rate a biography, let alone one that has a lot of trauma, similar to like I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. But I gave it 5 stars. I just think that like the whole story is very fascinating. Obviously, like so many of us, I never watched 8 Passengers or like their YouTube channel, but I knew of them just from being a YouTube consumer. And I feel like whenever there's like peripheral things like this in like a space that I'm familiar with, I'm getting a little bit of info about what's happening, but I don't know like all of the details details. And so hearing every single thing, like everything that she went through is just, I feel for her. Like, it's sad, and I'm glad that she was always looking out for her siblings. If you guys are in the place to listen to it, I highly recommend. I specifically really enjoy audiobooks that are read by the author, and this one was read by her directly, because I just feel like when you're talking about these kinds of things, I don't know, just like it's different and more impactful when I'm hearing from her. So that was good. I have a few other audiobooks that I've saved to my Spotify library. Also, it's on Spotify, but I have some others, and I think one of the next ones that I maybe want to read is the Viola Davis autobiography. I really like autobiographies as audiobooks, I should say. That one's also read by her, and I've heard that it makes people cry. So I'm fascinated by her life and what that all entails. So anyway, those are the updates. I think I just finished editing my video. It's exporting right now. I'm going to upload that and get back over to reading. I'm going to try to read as much as possible of This Family Lies. I really thought that I was going to finish this book today, but I also did not anticipate finishing 2 other books or like reading an entire book that I hadn't even started yet. So that obviously derailed reading this, because the 4 hours that I would have spent reading this, I spent on reading a whole different book. But you know what? It was worth it. That book was so good. Like, seriously, highly recommend. I'm gonna get comfy on the couch with P. He's sitting here. Look at him. He's just like fully, his like leg is, I don't know if you guys can hear it, so apologies if you can, but I had to turn on the AC because it got to 88 degrees today. Crazy. It's gonna go back down in temperature soon, but he was kind of like panting, so I wanted to make sure he's not overheating. And where he's sitting is like exactly where our AC unit, it's up here, and it hits that spot. I mean, like, it gets the whole room, but that spot in particular is the coldest spot in the room. And whenever I turn on the AC, he just sits there and just passes out. And same in the winter, I will turn on the heater and that'll be the warmest spot, and he knows. He already knows. He's a smart dog. Okay, enough of that. I'm gonna upload this video now and we'll get back to reading. Hello you guys, today's Tuesday, I think. I'm getting my days all mixed up, but I'm grabbing my book right now because it is almost my lunch break at work. Like I was saying yesterday, I fully thought that I was going to be finishing This Family Lies yesterday, but then I ended up picking up those 2 other books, and they were just the one other book in particular. I wanted to finish Fanatical Prospecting because I just wanted that off of my Goodreads, but then I didn't intend to pick up that other book, and it was so good that I couldn't put it down, literally. So now we're here. I am going to try to finish This Family Lies today instead, because I think I only have like 3.5 hours left. I read a bit this morning, I read a bit last night. The book is getting a little chaotic, like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that's in like a good way necessarily. I feel like this book really captured my attention, and it was a 5-star feeling at the beginning. The more that we learn about our main character, she's kind of out there. I don't really know, like, she's just, the things that we're learning alongside her are fascinating. I guess that's where I'll leave it. The things that we're learning, I would have never thought that that would have been our main character at all. So it's been very interesting to like better understand who our main character is, because she doesn't even know who she is. I'm enjoying it, but I also feel like the amount of like crazy things that are happening is starting to kind of feel over the top. So I don't know, like, I feel like it's almost bumping down to a 4-star. Like, it's not the perfect book, but it's still really good and definitely trapping me in. I'm reading it very quickly, so that is nice. And the pace is staying very fast paced, so I do like that too. I'm gonna keep reading. Let's see how much I can finish on my lunch break, and then whatever we don't finish on my lunch break, we will finish after work. Okay, it's almost the end of the work day, and I am so tired. I normally don't do this, but I'm gonna make myself another latte. I feel like I used to do this a lot more like a couple of years ago, where I would have like an afternoon coffee, but I just feel like it messes with my sleep nowadays. And yeah, but I'm desperate today because I just can't, like, I don't know why, for probably since like Friday of last week, and today's Tuesday, I have not gotten good sleep. I really want to figure out why. I don't know what's happening. I know that the coffee in the short term is not going to be the, like, this is not a good choice. I understand that, but I'm doing it anyway because I can't even think straight, so then I haven't been like reading as much as I normally want to, and then I'm like distracted at work and the whole thing. So anyway, here we are. We're making a iced latte. I had a warm latte this morning, having an iced latte now. And I think once I make this iced latte, I might actually go sit outside to read. I only have like 2 hours left of my book and I'm actually very excited to finish it. It's getting kind of crazy though. Like when I last checked in with you guys, it was already getting crazy, but it's getting even crazier. I feel like the plot points are kind of losing me a little bit. It's kind of in the sense that like there's just too many crazy things happening. Like it's just like a bunch of chaos and it feels like a lot of potential twists that I just feel like are not actually like coming to fruition. So it's like they start to lead you into a direction that like maybe a twist, and then it's like, oh, but what if we sprinkle in this thing or this thing or this thing? And I don't know, it's becoming a lot. I feel like it's not the end of the world, but it's a lot. It's interesting though, because even though that's all happening, I'm still highly interested in this book. Like it is keeping me engaged the whole time, and I think that's like one really cool thing about this book. So like I feel like I'm kind of talking bad about it but also talking good about it. It's a good book. It's keeping the pace, it's staying fast. The whole thing is good. It's just that the twists are kind of a lot, and it's kind of like, whoa, I thought we were going this direction, now we're going in this direction, and whatever. But I am excited because of that to see how it ends, because that just means that the ending is absolutely going to be crazy. Okay, I've made my iced latte. I love these little cups that I got. I think I showed them to you guys in another vlog, but I'm just obsessed with them. I think they're so cute. They're kind of like Anthropologie dupes, and I love them. The only downside to them is that they're hand wash only. Enough about that. I'm going to open the door here so P can go outside with me, and let's go read outside. Something just happened. I am officially almost 80% of the way through this book. I had a feeling this was the direction we were gonna go with this book, but it just took this crazy turn. Basically, like, the reason why I'm so conflicted by all of the like twists that are happening in this book is because I don't know how all of them are going to come together. Like, I'm actually very curious. That's not to say that it's a bad thing. It just feels like there's just maybe one too many things that are kind of chaotic happening, and maybe if we had just like stripped that back a tiny bit, it could have been, it feels a little, well, it is unrealistic. It's a book though, so I don't know, maybe that's not a bad thing. It is just crazy, but it's getting fascinating, and I had a feeling this is the direction we were gonna go, like I was saying. But again, like, I want to know how all of the little ends of the strings are gonna tie themselves together, because there's kind of like a multitude of storylines, and like I feel like my main character Iris is like 3 different people. Let's continue reading. I have about an hour and 45 minutes left of the book. I'm on page 280, so let's see how it ends, because I need to know now. It's been a second since I last checked in with you guys. My hair is wet because I did a quick workout. We're done with that now, and we're going to actually finish the book. I said I was gonna finish the book earlier, but I knew that if I didn't do my workout like ASAP, then it wasn't going to happen. So here I am. And now I'm in my cozy pajama. Well, I'm wearing the same sweater I was wearing earlier, but I feel like I'm in my cozy pajamas. It's gonna be a lot cooler tomorrow, so tonight's gonna be cooler, and I'm ready to just get cozy and finish my book. I don't know what chapter I'm on, sadly, because we don't have chapters, but I'm on chapter, sweet. The names are interesting, you know? 60 pages left. We got this. I know that we can finish this tonight, and I am excited, like I was saying, to better understand how they're gonna tie everything together, because right now I can't see how they're gonna tie everything up. It's all over the place, and I'm kind of loving it. Oh my god, okay. This book is getting actually so good. I don't know why I'm surprised. I've been saying it's good from the very beginning. This whole time there's been this very particular scar that our main character has. It's in like the shape of a square, and it's kind of bumpy, and she couldn't figure out what it could possibly be because it's a perfect square. And she just realized what it is. Like, someone just told her what was there. I can't believe, oh my god, this is getting insane. The way that everything is tying together is getting crazy. We just found out a lot of information in this last chapter. It was not what I was expecting. I always suspected, like, I feel like when a book gives you somebody to hate, or like gives you the person that you're supposed to suspect they did the main thing, that's likely not the person, and in a lot of cases that's the protector, which I was expecting. But the rest of the info were like, who actually killed like that's like the main plot point, is like someone killed this woman's husband and also tried to kill her. The person that actually killed the husband, I was not expecting. The whole book I was not expecting to unravel in this way. Like there's just so many plot points coming together. I keep saying that, but like I'm shocked that I've never heard about this author or any of her other books, because now I feel like I need to read every single one. I do still want to finish tonight, but I don't know if I'll be able to give you guys all my thoughts tonight because I'm gonna probably head to bed and finish in bed. But if I don't give you guys all of my thoughts tonight, I will certainly give them to you guys in the morning because I feel like I'm gonna stay up until I finish this book. Oh my god, you guys, I finished the book last night. It was so good. Oh, hi. The book ended in such a great way, like to the point where I feel like it was like the perfect amount of craziness and everything tied in together so well. There was literally one thing that like I probably wouldn't have even realized, but I know that every time I read a book, I look at reviews after and people are like, I wish that this one thing didn't get forgotten. Basically in the story, it called it out itself and was like, someone was talking to the main character and was like, you're missing something, like you're forgetting about something, and tied that last loose end up. And just like the reveal and how everything happened and the ending being a little bit ambiguous, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think also I really appreciate when authors can kill off some main characters. Like that makes me feel like, you know, I don't know, like they're doing something. Like it's not just like everybody is safe and everything ends up in like rainbows and butterflies all the time. So I really enjoyed it a lot, and I gave it 5 stars after everything because I just felt like even though there was like a small point where I was like, a lot is happening and it's feeling a little chaotic, I liked everything as a whole. So I can't find one thing that I like wanted to complain about. Like everything tied up nicely, everything was kind of chaotic and like kept me guessing. I never knew who did what, and like I couldn't really like guess all of these things, and then on top of it, it just like kept me trapped in the whole time. Like I just wanted to keep reading. So that was really great. I'm actually very excited because I just have never heard of this author either, so I want to look into more of her books. And at the very end it said that there was a part 2 coming. This book was published I think like around March or April of last year, so I assume that part 2 is coming any second. But I am also excited to read more of her books because I haven't found a book that trapped me in that much in a while. So now we're on to reading Dune. I want to see how long it takes me to finish that book. I have like 400 or so pages left, and my intention this month was to read a couple of pages per day, I think like 25 or 30, but I just started getting like really trapped into my other books, so I decided that at the end of the month, which is where we're at now, I would just actually read it as like my main book. So that's what we're reading now. I was reading a little bit this morning. I'll probably get to it a little bit more toward like my lunch break, so I'll check in with you guys then to give you guys my thoughts on Dune. I'm actually really enjoying it so far, just to like start where we're at with it. I just like, I've never explored the story at all. I've never seen the movies, so it's all new to me. I don't know anything about the story, and I am enjoying it, but I do feel like it's the tiniest bit slow. Like it's impressive to me that the first half of the book is the whole first movie, because I'm sure it's because there's a lot of world building that needs to happen, but I'm trying to envision what that movie would look like. So I am excited to read half of the book and then be able to watch the movie and like kind of start to like put pictures together. So maybe we'll do that when I get to like the halfway point. But anyway, I'll check in with you guys on my lunch break when we start to read some more of Dune and keep you guys updated. Update, it is actually past my lunchtime, but I had a meeting during like what normally would be lunchtime, so here we are now. I am reading a little bit and I'm actually gonna go cook some food, but I officially made it to book 2 in Dune. So far, I don't know why, this probably isn't gonna make any sense to anybody. For some reason in my brain, what happened to the Duke reminds me of Game of Thrones. Don't know why, like I feel like it's kind of like the same vibes of like the beginning of the first book of Game of Thrones with Ned Stark. I feel like that connection is not actually there, but for some reason in my head, it's there. But at the end of book 1, we discovered something about, she's not really the Duchess because she was never married to the Duke, but basically to like the Duke's kind of wife, aka Paul's mom, Jessica. So find out something about her, which is very interesting. We're also finding out stuff about Paul. We find stuff out about the Duke. Like there's just like a lot that happens in that very last chapter, especially. It's definitely starting to pick up. I kind of am still intrigued to see like how this would be the first movie, because it just feels a little slow. I just really don't know. Like I find myself wandering or like thinking about other things, or like my brain is kind of like going going into other stuff or like wanting to do different things, where I feel like if I'm truly captivated by a book, I am not thinking about anything else. But the book itself is good. It's not, I think it's just harder for me to read, honestly. So it's not anything like bad about the book. It's just more hard. I want to read a little bit more before I commit to the book, but I think that like understanding the world a little bit more and like seeing the characters and like understanding some of the stuff a little bit more will be helpful, because there's a lot of small things that I think like maybe I just can't wrap my head around, like these people who are like basically supercomputers, but they're people. It's very intriguing to me, and it seems like that's the direction that we're going with Paul, but also I don't know if I'm just like misunderstanding something. So those are my thoughts so far. I really do feel like the last chapter in book 1 picked up a lot, and I feel like the next few chapters will probably pick up. So let's go make some food. We'll get back to reading for a little bit and then get back to work, and then we'll read after work as well. It has been a second since my lunch break. I am just wrapping up work and I'm just basically off now. And I have one more chapter that I want to read of Dune. I read a little bit more while I was cooking, so one more chapter to get to this like first bookmark. But I also decided to pick up Book Lovers. If you guys don't already know, Emily Henry is sort of the reason why I got back into reading. I want to say it was maybe in like end of 2021 or 2022. I think it was in the end of 2021. Ryan and I had gone to Florida. Just before we had gone to Florida, I was picking reading back up. I reread the Harry Potter series, for example, but I hadn't really like full-blown gotten into like book talk or anything like that. And I had been seeing Beach Read everywhere, and so I picked it up at a Barnes & Noble in Florida, and I fell in love, and I've pretty much just purchased every single book that she has had. So I've already read this book once before, but this is the only book that, like, for whatever reason, this is probably my least favorite book of hers, but everybody is obsessed with this one, and I always feel like I had like opposite reactions. Like most people didn't really love People We Meet on Vacation, but I was obsessed with that book, and this one I wasn't as in love with. But I also, it's been a few years. So when was this published? In 2022. So it's been a couple of years since I last read this book. I feel like I don't remember the details of this book as much as I remember any of her other books. So I thought that I would pick this one up. So I'm gonna have this be another book. Like I'll basically kind of like swap between these two. I think that this one is just like too much for me to read solo, but this is going to be my main book for the next couple of days, and this will be more of like the backup book. I also just know that I like to read to go to bed. I already know I'm not going to be able to read Dune to go to bed, so I think this one will be a nice one to also like fall asleep to, and I don't have to remember every detail because I've already read it before. I'm gonna pick this one up. I'm almost on chapter 2, but before I like got too deep into it, I wanted to update you guys, so let's keep reading. Okay, I finished my Dune reading and I'm currently reading Book Lovers. I actually went and took a bath to read a little bit, and that was very peaceful. But something that I realized in Book Lovers that I never noticed before is this book is about a girl who is a literary agent, and because it's all about books, obviously a lot of actual books are named in this. And it was so funny because A Man Called Uva was mentioned in this, and the first time I read it I would have never picked up on that, but now that I've read Frederick Bachman's work, I picked up on it, and I just thought that was kind of fun. Anyway, I'm only on chapter 2 so far because I was flip-flopping and doing a couple of other things, but I'm gonna read this for a little bit and then we'll see how far we get, and I will check in with you guys once I've gotten a little bit further to give you guys a more significant update. Guys, I have sad news. I am 50% of the way through Dune. I think I have to DNF it. I really don't want to DNF it, so I'm gonna sit on that thought for a hot second, but I made it to book 2 and I feel like I'm putting myself in a reading slump, and I like want to read this book. I've literally had this on my shelf for so many years. I like can't get through the rest of it. I feel like I'm putting myself in a reading slump because I feel like the actual content is very interesting. I love sci-fi, I love fantasy, like this whole concept sounds so good, but I feel like I'm putting myself in a reading slump because it's so long and it's kind of dense and a little slow, and I just feel like I'll get a lot of the same experience out of just watching the movie. I feel really bad for saying that because I feel like this is like some people's favorite books ever. I really feel bad by saying that I might DNF it. I'm gonna like give it a second and like maybe think on it a little bit, but like for example, I picked up Book Lovers, which I've already read and I already know that I love, and it's like a wildly different book, like not nearly as dense, not as slow, not as like big world building kind of experience, but I'm having more fun with it, which like maybe is just because it's a fun book. I get that, but I want to have fun when I'm reading and I don't want it to feel like homework, and I think that it's kind of feeling that way for me. I'm gonna just continue to read Book Lovers today. I think I'm going to try to switch back over to Dune later today, but if I don't finish it by the end of this month, like I'm giving myself until end of the month. If I don't finish it by end of month, then I'm going to officially DNF it. So I will keep you guys posted, obviously in like my reading wrap up, but for the sake of this video, I won't be talking about it in the rest of this video. So I'm gonna head off to go read Book Lovers and just kind of like de-stress a little bit. Those are my thoughts. I'm gonna keep reading and see how far we get, and I will keep you guys updated. Hello you guys. Hopefully you guys can't hear the dryer too loud, but I was just painting and listening to the audiobook for Book Lovers. I think this is the first time that I've like read the physical copy, listened to the audiobook, and also read on my Kindle for a book. But there was a cute quote that I liked on chapter 10, does not spoil anything. It just says, "Is there anything better than iced coffee in a bookstore on a sunny day? I mean, aside from hot coffee in a bookstore on a rainy day." And I ended up underlining it. I used to not underline or like highlight my books at all, but that was just such a cute quote. But something else, she mentions Vari McFarlane, and I'm realizing that like, one, as I've gotten more into reading, I think that it's more fun to just like read this book, because similar to how some people really are into movies and so they really like reading books about movies, I really love books, and so hearing like all of the different authors or book titles and things like that just like is so fun to me. So been loving that. But I do feel like the tension is not as there for me personally. Maybe it's just because I already obviously know that they're going to be together, but by page 100 they're like clearly into each other, and by page 200 it's like there's not as much of like the longing in this book. I think that that's maybe why this was not my favorite. I still think that's like a really good book. I love it. Hi. But definitely not my favorite in comparison to some of her others. Like Happy Place I loved because you just like had no idea how it was going to end. Like it could in theory go either way in that one. That's sort of like where my thoughts are at. I am on chapter, I think I'm on chapter 18. Yeah, chapter 18. So I'm 54% of the way through the book. So I have a feeling I'll just finish it this weekend. I'll give you guys my final thoughts once I am done listening to it or reading it, whatever I get up to today. But I just wanted to update you guys. Like I've never really done a reread, and it's really fun because I'm remembering all of the reasons why I did love this book and why I rated it 5 stars. Even though this is not my favorite Emily Henry, it's still one of my favorite books and I really enjoy it, and it's just like a fun summary type of book. It's just like it's perfect now that the sun is coming out here too. Like I just am really enjoying this world and our characters, but I've also forgotten enough that like I know something's up with her sister, for example, but I can't remember what is up at all. So like it's still enjoyable and it's still really fun to read even though I know how it's going to end. I just feel like that's kind of every romance novel though, you know what I mean? Like you always know how things are going to end. And also listening to this as an audiobook while I was painting was just so fun. The painting that I've been doing I have put off because the pieces are so tiny, and so you have to be like very detailed and like ready to get in there, but it was really enjoyable and I feel like I spent a little bit of time doing that and just kind of like de-stressing by doing that. So really loved it too. Anyway, I will update you guys next time I continue to read, but those are my thoughts on the book so far. I'm getting ready for the day, but I'm also trying to finish Book Lovers. So I was just quickly reading and I was realizing I'm at like the 75% mark. I'm at 77% to be exact, but chapter 29. And at first, like before I started chapter 28, I was like, I cannot remember a third act breakup in this book, which if you guys know or read any romance, there's always some sort of third act breakup of some kind. Usually it's because of some kind of like weird miscommunication that like for some reason the two characters just like are not on the same page about something. I just like could not remember, and truthfully like I remembered the gist of what this book was about. I knew it was about an agent and an editor who are like enemies in the work field but then realize that they actually really like each other, but I couldn't remember like what the main conflict was. And I'm really enjoying that like first and foremost the main conflict is actually not necessarily between our two main characters, it's between the characters and other people in their lives. So like really just trying to figure out life in general, channel, figure out what's going on with our female main character's sister, figure out what's going on with our male main character's dad, and like there's a lot of depth there. I just got to the point of like the third act breakup, but it's not really what a third act breakup normally would be. It's more like a conflict that like it's not because of miscommunication, it's just like a life difference, I guess you could say. Not even a life difference, it's just like something that like cannot be changed. It's just like, hey, this really sucks because we both really like each other, but it can't work out for this reason. So I do like that it's not just like a random weird miscommunication, and I totally forget how they resolve that conflict. So I'm excited to finish this today and remember how they resolve it, because they obviously end up together. I love them together, they're like perfect. So let's keep reading. Okay, I just finished Book Lovers by Emily Henry and giving it 5 stars. Like, I'm obsessed with this book now. I feel like I already had given it 5 stars and was already obsessed with like pretty much anything that Emily Henry writes. I don't know, I really enjoyed this reread. I'm not one to usually reread books either, so rereading this was just very special for me to like remember, first of all, be back in a world that Emily Henry created, but just kind of like think about the book differently than like the first read. I just feel like it was so special because it wasn't just about this romance that was happening in this book, but it was also about like the characters and like their family relationships, and that was really special to me. So yeah, I just think that in general this book was like, it was just a really special book. I see why this is people's favorite. I don't know that it's my ultimate favorite. I think like I like other Emily Henry books more, but I think that the reread just made me feel more for these characters, I guess. So that was really fun to read, and yeah, just that was I liked that. So yeah, I think that was it. I don't know how many books we ended up reading in this video, but I feel like I had a pretty good reading week and a half, 2 weeks. I don't know how many days this video spans, but I feel like I had a good time. A good reading month in general. Like, I feel like I've been reading some good books lately, so I think this was a good book to end on for the month. That is all that I have for you guys today though, so thank you guys so much for watching and being here. I hope you guys have been enjoying your reading lately, and if there's anything that you've been reading that you really would like to share, leave it in the comments below. I always love to hear your guys' recommendations. I feel like we read a lot of the same books, so if there's anything that you want to share, leave it in the comments. Obviously you guys know what I'm reading. That's all I have for you guys, so thank you guys again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.